H.R. 7109, the Equal Representation Act, does two simple things. First, the bill requires the Census Bureau to include a citizenship question on the decennial census questionnaire. My amendment, in the nature of a substitute, simplifies the citizenship question that would be asked on the census questionnaire. Are you a citizen of the United States? Yes or no? That's it. By requiring this question, the United States government will be able to collect accurate data on the makeup of our population.
This effort is nothing but a way to separate out people that need services and really will lead to not counting every single person in this country, which we know is also unconstitutional. And so I think it's really shameful that we have this effort. I think this moves our country backwards. It certainly, in my opinion, is a direct attack, especially on undocumented people in this country. And I think this is all because, unfortunately, of the rhetoric that Donald Trump has really grown and infected across this country.
Non-citizens comprise nearly 7% of the total population of the United States. 7%. But non-citizens are not evenly distributed among the states, and some states end up with greater representation in Congress based on a higher concentration of non-citizens. This dilutes the one person, one vote principle for citizens in states with fewer non-citizens. It is clear that Congress can and should ensure a fair apportionment based on equal representation of citizens.
America, pay attention to this. 45 million illegals, that's 60 congressional seats. And where do you think those illegals are being drawn to live? In sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, densities of population, which have advertised and welcomed and brought these illegal citizens there. Why? Why do you think this has been one of the core tenets of agenda of the Democrat Party? Is to thwart the very essence of our representative republic by stacking the deck during the census, whereby apportionment for congressional representation will be permanently shifted to sanctuary states and cities. 45 million illegals, that's 60 seats, America. When have you ever seen a 60-seat majority in this body? This is the game plan, man.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, in my opinion, a horrific bill and effort. We know that a complete and accurate count of the census is incredibly important for our function of government and to support every single person in this country. We're hearing all sorts of, in my opinion, just backwards arguments, arguments that are nearing talking about the Great Replacement theory, and really, I think, undermining the value that immigrants and every person make in this country. I just want to make an important note. I served as mayor of my community for 8 years before coming to Congress, and having an accurate count of every single person that is in your community is critical to the services you provide all of those individuals. And we know that changing the census in this way would lead to massive undercounts in states like California, but in every state across the country. Census counts impact the health care and how you're able to provide it. It impacts funding for public schools. And just recently, it impacted how much support we got during the pandemic. A census count basically impacts federal dollars and how many dollars we get to take on federal emergencies, how we respond to people that need health care during a pandemic. And so much of our public services are dependent on an accurate count, from how kids learn, from how seniors access health care, from how many emergency trucks can come in and respond to a crisis, to how many shots and vaccines a community will get during a pandemic, is all dependent on an accurate count from the census. And so this effort is nothing but a way to separate out people that need services and really will lead to not counting every single person in this country, which we know is also unconstitutional. And so I think it's really shameful that we have this effort. I also want to note that just a couple of points. The Brookings Institute found that undercounting Latinos by just 3% could result in almost $1 billion loss for Medicaid. This is real dollars for people that need our support across the country. A 2% undercount of Latinos would result in 20.5 million for SNAP, and with more than 3,000 fewer households receiving SNAP benefits, which we know are incredibly important for people across this community. So it's important to set the record straight. All people in this country should be counted, and this idea that somehow this is not going to impact the count is completely ridiculous. We also know that mixed families in this country would also have concerns about the way they are counted in the census, which would lead to an additional undercount of all people in this country. And so I strongly oppose this effort, as do groups across this country, and certainly as would mayors and governors and states across America that depend on an accurate count of all people to receive the services that they need for their community.